Hi, this is Mitch Doan, and along with Jamie Richardson, we're your hosts of the Break-Thru Active podcast. We aim to deep dive into health and fitness that will help bring you a better understanding of topics that are of interest to you and can help you on your own journey. If you are enjoying the episodes, we'd love for you to leave us a rating on the platform you listen to your podcasts. Enough from me, sit back, relax, and enjoy the episode. Hello and welcome back again to the Break-Thru Active podcast. My name is Mitch. I've got another guest with me today. I've got one of our male members who we haven't had too many of them on the podcast yet, but I've got Mick with me today. So welcome, Mick.
Hi, how you going?
Thanks for coming on, mate. We've been trying to sort of tee this up for a while, and finally we're able to make a time. But Mick's got a bit of a issue with his power at home, so if it does, we do get a bit of a scratchy noise, and that's why. But we'll do our best. So, want to talk a little bit with Mick about his time with us. Him and his wife Karen have both been training with us the last couple of years. But Mick's got a bit of a cool backstory. He used to be playing a pretty high level rugby league here in Newcastle. So I wanted to start the conversation there, mate, and talk a little bit about that, as well as the training and gym stuff that you did with that.
Yep.
So when did you start playing footy, mate? Were you a youngster when you kicked that off?
Yeah, mate. So youngster started when I was 7, down on the Central Coast for Arimba Magpies, and just got into rugby league as a sport, and just started to develop over the years. And my first experience with a sort of like a gym was sort of just in my own backyard, really. Just starting out doing weights just to try and get that competitive edge over kids. I was probably only like 14, maybe 15. I don't know if that was too young to start, but just sort of started throwing around weights in the backyard. And then, I got picked up by the North Sydney Bears back then, when I was 16, and just weights, like a lot of powerlifting, a lot of sort of cardio, a lot of, like out on the field training. So it sort of steamrolled from there. I suppose, it started at a young age, sort of being in the gym. So played football for North Sydney Bears, and then I eventually got picked up by the Newcastle Knights. I think it was around 2002, and I moved up from the Central Coast to play football at the Knights. Within the first year, I went from playing under 20s to playing reserve grade for the Knights, and then by the end of that first season, I was training with the first grade squad. So all of a sudden, I was surrounded by like Andrew Johns and Danny Badiris, Tamana Tahu, Matt Gidley, all those really awesome players. And the training just went like, from 5 days a week to 7 days a week. So it was a pretty cool experience, but it was a bit overwhelming, I think, for my age. I was only 19, and here I was training with these grown men that were, very, very fit. It was just a really good experience. Same sort of training continued, a lot of powerlifting back then. A lot of sort of, it was more power based.
Especially at 19, a big part of it would have been to get stronger, I imagine.
Yeah, I was pretty small too, so compared to the other players, so they were sort of like pushing me to put on weight and to put on size, just so I could, match it with the bigger guys. So that just the amount of weights and eating and diet, and it was pretty intense actually. But it was a good lesson to learn in terms of training and all different types of training we did. We probably lacked in sort of now is like stretching, like is an important part. We didn't do as much sort of yoga or stretching, and that's probably why we picked up so many injuries. And even myself, I picked up a lot of injuries, over the years through rugby league. I know it's a contact sport, but I'm sure if we had the knowledge now that, it's important to, warm up properly and stretch properly, it would have been a lot better. Yeah, I actually, and that's, I played a few seasons with the Knights, and that's actually what ended my career with the Knights. I ended up breaking my ankle and dislocating it in a tackle, and I just never could get back to that sort of. I lost a lot of confidence. So, yeah, and basically that sort of ended that for me. Unfortunately, I was probably only one game off getting a start in first grade. I played one trial game with the Knights against Penrith. But yeah, during the State of Origin period when Tamana Tahu, Matt Gidley were being selected for New South Wales, I was pushing for a spot, and it was probably the next game I would have got a start in first grade, but then I broke my ankle. So
yeah,
I come very, very close.
It's you've told me that story before, and we've discussed that, and it's, I mean, obviously extremely unfortunate in the timing of it all, because I feel like, especially in professional sport, injuries are the difference between someone who makes it and someone who doesn't. And not only that, but like, you can make it and make it big. Like if one of those players you mentioned, if they have had a really bad injury when they were 19 or 20, then they might not have ever got a start, and that would have been it. They would have gone and got a job or done something else. But yeah, want to sort of backpedal there for a little bit. First of all, growing up Central Coast, playing for Arimba, I actually played for Berkeley Vale. I think I've told you.
Yeah.
So Arimba were like the entrants were our rivals, but we didn't like the Magpies much either.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought you'd say that.
But yeah, then playing for the Bears, like, you're like living my childhood dreams, mate. I was a Bears supporter until they went out of the comp. I loved them. And actually lately there's been a bit of talk about them getting back into the comp, because they've got such a huge fan base still, which is cool. Yep. I did actually hear a rumor, and I don't know if there's any truth to it, but they might even be looking to be like the Perth Bears or something. So like, so anyway, that's a bit off topic. It'll be interesting to see how that goes, because they've still got a huge legion of supporters. But yeah, interesting when you're saying getting into weights at a young age. And 14 to 15, I don't think it's too young, but as long as you sort of know what you're doing and you don't hurt yourself. But also at that age, you tend to bounce back pretty quickly if you have a bit of a niggle in your shoulder or something. But for rugby league players, it tends to be, from my knowledge of it all, probably got one of two things. You've either got the big guys who are looking to get fitter and probably trim up a little bit so they can actually play for longer periods without having need to rest. And then you've got guys like you mentioned, you're a little bit smaller, and you're just trying anything and everything to put on size. And you see it now as well, like in the comp, you see some of the younger guys coming through, and there's just not much of them. Like, they're probably 80, 85 kilos ring and wet, which is still, they're not small compared to normal people, but, compared to these 110 kilo front rowers, like, they're going to eat them for, well, they're probably 110 kilo wingers now. That's sort of changing. I know. But, wanted to talk a little bit about, like you mentioned, the training a lot in the the program with the Bears and then the Knights. So were they organized gym sessions, or was that stuff just for you to do by yourself?
Yeah, well, they were organised gym sessions, and they brought in a power lifter, a former power lifter that went to the Olympics. I can't remember his name, but and it was just so just learning general techniques of the snatch and clean and deadlift and all that. It was good because you get the right technique from a young age, so that was helpful. But I feel like that we focus too much on that and not the other aspects of sort of performance, like stretching and your fast twitch muscles as well. I think we just concentrated too much on being explosive and strong. But anyway,
it's a fine line, isn't it? Because I mean, and I think there's probably, because that was what, like 20, 25 years ago. So I think there's probably been there has been a lot of research done between then and now. And maybe just a bit of an outdated sort of school of thought back then, where they thought all these players had to be big and bulky and strong, but that's going to slow them down. It's going to make them more immobile. And like you mentioned, when typically if you're big and bulky and strong, you got a lot of muscle mass, but you're not very flexible or mobile, you are more prone to injury, like you mentioned, because especially with footy where, or, most contact sports, there's a lot of change of direction. There's a lot of impact. And if your muscles are only being trained to work in one plane, like, your bench press, your presses, your rows, your deadlifts, any sort of rotation or anything off tilt is going to hit you pretty hard.
Yeah, absolutely. In one off season, they asked me to put on about 10 kilograms in weight, just to bulk up. I think I was sitting about 80 kilos. They wanted me to get up to 90 kilos as sort of the average sort of winger for an NRL player. Well, it's probably bigger now, but and so I used to smash myself with the food, just constantly eating, trying to gain weight, lifting heavier weights, and I ended up getting to 90 kilo, but the problem was, as soon as I went out onto the field and tried to explode off the mark, I was tearing my groin, my hamstrings, and it was just constant for a lot of the players during that time. So I think it was just a bit overkill.
Yeah.
Hey guys, just very quickly, if you have been enjoying our podcast and you've been watching us on YouTube, I would love for you to subscribe to our channel. If you've been listening to our podcast, give us a follow, give us a 5-star rating on Apple or Spotify or wherever it is that you've been listening to us. It really helps the channel grow, and I would be extremely appreciative and grateful if you took a moment to do that for me. Okay, that's it from me. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Did you used to train like that during season, or was that more like the off season where they'd sort of dedicate that to strength?
Yeah, they did sort of phases. So in the off season, we'd go sort of lower reps and just lift heavier. And then as the season rolled around, it was sort of higher reps and sort of less weight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just feel like it just, I mean, it would be good for powerlifting, but I just feel that was the wrong sort of training for what we were doing, like you said. Yeah. So
and I feel like if you were, young guys now coming through, it probably would look very different, just because a bit more experience, a bit more research, and a bit more know-how. Because I think more important than strength is injury prevention. Where from what I understand of it, like the off seasons are really dedicated to strength, because you're not really doing much contact stuff. And then when you sort of get into pre-season and playing, it's more, pre-season, as you know, it's like a fitness side of things. You're trying to get fit again to play. And then through the season, it's just managing your body. It's doing a lot of recovery stuff, because, obviously in your case, that might not have been able to be avoided, but a lot of injuries happen. And if there are things that you can do to limit that, and then I think the coaches and the training staff and the clubs would be doing that. But
absolutely.
I've asked you this before, and I don't want you to share any, but one of the first things we spoke about, I said, surely you've got some stories from back in the Knights days, early 2000s. And I know you did, so we won't share them on here.
Yeah, that's okay. There's a lot of stories. It's good memories. But
you were in, they won the premiership in 97 and 01, so they were like rolling at that point.
Well, I came in once they'd won that 2001 premiership, so they were like the best of the best. So
interesting time to be around it all.
It was. So
cool. We'll fast forward a little bit, because that was obviously earlier on in the years, and then you started training with us and your wife a few years ago at one of our boot camps, and then now you obviously transitioned over to where we are at Cardiff. But what did you do after you sort of stopped playing footy, and then when we met you years later, what did you do from an exercise standpoint in that period?
Look, I've tried a range of different sort of whether it be sporting or just going to the gym, but I just found it hard with motivation once you stop playing football, just to keep up that motivation and sort of like competitive team sort of environment. And I tried triathlons for a bit there, and that was sort of an individual sport. There's a lot of training by yourself, and so I didn't really enjoy that. joined some gyms, like Anytime Fitness and those sort of 24-hour gyms. Again, you're training by yourself, not, there's no one really leading you through, even though I have the knowledge of how to probably train myself. I was missing that sort of group environment. So yeah, I tried that. I even tried a stint of CrossFit even, and I found that was it was good, but I think for like someone that played a contact sport with a lot of injuries that I've had, CrossFit just wasn't a good fit for my body physically. My injuries would just cause so many problems with my body in CrossFit. So I think after I ventured down that path, I kind of stumbled across, the group fitness at Elmore Vale there in the hall. And I guess for me, that it just worked. Like I was after sort of a quick get in, get out sort of session. And I wanted to hit some cardio and some weights. And it sort of just ticks all those boxes. And plus, it's sort of a team environment in that sense. I know you're working out for yourself, but you're around people and you still, it still feels sort of like a community, and it sort of ticks that box as well. So when you started a gym over at Cardiff a couple of years ago, then I guess we got back into that as well. And it just sort of ticks the boxes for me. The fitness, the cardio, the weights, and the community sort of, workout. I enjoy that. It's really good.
It's interesting because we quite often have guys and girls who will play team sport a lot growing up and as adults as well. And that's what they're used to. They like being around other people, like, playing any team sport. Such a huge part of it is who's on your team and that's that whole team dynamic and the group dynamic within training, and also, in the games and how you celebrate and recover. It's all tied in together. And going from that to running doing triathlons, like you mentioned, that's like one extreme to the other, because
I know.
When you do triathlons or marathons or anything, it's like, stick in your headphones, go for a long ride, go for a run, or go for a swim, and it's there's no one within QE of you, so it's very different. But priorities tend to change as well, and for you, like it would have been very obviously when you were younger, it was all based around footy. Like it's how can I become better at footy? Like I get stronger, get faster, all those things that you want to be to play at a really high level professional footy. And then age does its thing, and then it changes what we want. We're not really as worried about how much we can lift anymore, or how fast we are. It's about getting in, like you mentioned, a bit of cardio, a bit of weights, staying healthy, staying limber, and staying out of injury. And
absolutely.
I know you've had a couple of sort of aggravated moments with injuries and things, but how has that been sort of in recent years?
Like it's been fine. I think very minimal have I had any injuries now, because I guess I know my body quite well. I know sort of what injuries get aggravated by what exercises, and I'll just go a bit lighter. I guess just the knowledge of knowing your own body and not pushing it. Like you said, I'm not as competitive as what I used to be, in terms of I can come to the gym and not try to lift the heaviest amount. I'm there to be healthy and live a longer life, and so I guess that aspect of going all in, I don't have to, like, I still push myself beyond. And some of your workouts are like harder than the ones I've done at the Knights. I mean, that Pasha Bulker one, that's like got to be one of the hardest exercise or workouts I think I've ever done.
Oh, geez, you're making my head big now, mate. I'm very, very proud of myself now.
Yeah, you should be. It's a bloody hard workout.
Yeah, no, and it does change. It comes with age, it comes with experience, and like you said, when you get to know your body a little bit more, and having a more mature training age, like you've been doing it for a long time, sort of obviously different types of training, but realizing that you going in and lifting the most that you can lift isn't the most important thing for you at the moment. You've got wife, you've got kids, like it doesn't really matter that much. Like it's more of like an ego thing for a lot.
That's it.
And
Absolutely.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Like you worry, you want to lift some weights, you want to do some cardio, but it's about feeling healthy and looking at, life into the future and living a longer, more full life. And that's sort of what we try to embody. It's coming in, have a good time. You do all your major lifts, you're still getting stronger, you're getting fitter, but it's not about trying to set any, world records or any powerlifting records or anything, because to be honest, there are lots of people out there who like that, and that's great, and they're in other gyms, and that's cool too. So last thing I just want to cover quickly, mate, you got a couple of kids now, and you're involved in footy and everything. So how is it now for you seeing your kids sort of involved in sport and sort of going down that same path? Well, not necessarily the same path, but starting to play like you did when you were a youngster.
Yeah, it's really good, rewarding to see. Although funny enough, like when my son started playing rugby league, I was kind of a bit hesitant, I suppose. Like just knowing all the injuries that I got over the years, like it's such a good thing, team sport. But I mean, I just, you worry about them. You can't help but worry about them. But I mean, it's rewarding to watch. It's very good. Yeah.
And you're involved a bit. You do a bit of you help with training, or you sort of there on game.
Yeah, where I can, I try and help out. But I always, take him out for an extra session here and there, just to show him some things, just to help him. But it's enjoyable, definitely. Yeah.
It's interesting because you've come full circle with it, and you sort of went down that road of pursuing a professional career and injuries and everything. Yeah. So, maybe for him, it can be a little more of just something fun to do.
And that's what I push on him. I say, mate, as long as you have fun out there, that's all that matters. Like, don't worry about, this and that. You just have fun.
Yeah. And one last thing, which is a bit off topic, but it's, I was talking to one of the members the other day, and we're talking about kids sport, and we got talking. I said, the worst question that you can ask a kid, like whether it's your kid or someone else, if you weren't at the game and you say, oh, how was footy? Did you win? And it's like, I think celebrating victory or being upset if you lose, like I think it's natural to want to win and to not want to lose. But if that's your leading question, where it's like, oh, did you win? And then they're like, oh, no, I didn't. Oh, that's, better luck next time type of thing. Where, I think, and where we kind of were discussing, me and, this other member was saying, the question should be, did you have fun? And then, especially when you're 6 or 7 or 8, like it's not, you want to win and everything, but changing that narrative a bit. So it's actually discussing, did you have a good time? Because that's what you're there for when you're a kid. And I think sap the love out of the game if it's all about, did you win or did you score a try? What was the score? Like it doesn't really matter. It needs to be about the fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And like with his age anyway, it's under 8s and they don't even keep score anyway. So
that's good.
That's good. They're going out there just having a run and having fun. So that's what counts.
One last question, mate. So we do have a few Knights fans who are probably listening. Who was the biggest asshole that you came across in the Knights? Area? Give examples.
I won't give you an example. Wow. I would say majority are pretty good, but I don't know if I want to answer that one.
Well, I don't want to. In
case they see this.
The podcast has really taken off, mate. Steve likes to think it's Newcastle's #1 podcast. So maybe they will listen. So we'll keep that anonymous, mate. But we can talk about that later. Righto. All good, Mick. Well, thanks a lot for coming on, mate. That was really fun and cool to hear your story. But glad that you've found a place and your wife Karen as well, where you're coming and working out and having a bit of a different perspective on training. I think it's a very healthy way to look at it. And we love having you guys there.
Yeah. Thanks, Mitch. Thank you.
Thanks, Mick. Thanks for listening, guys. Talk to you on the next one.
Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If there is a topic you'd like us to discuss that we haven't already, please make sure you reach out in Facebook Messenger and we'll do our best to cover it in the upcoming episodes. For those of you enjoying the podcast, we'd love for you to like, subscribe and leave us a rating. It really helps us grow and spread the good word. Hoping you're all having a great day, and we'll be sure to see you on the next one.